All right, here's day 4 of the 2022 18-meter nationals held in May of 2022 in Bermuda High, South Carolina, or Jefferson, South Carolina. This was a brutal day for 7 Tango. Huge start gate roulette, huge gaggle, and the gaggle really didn't do much exploratory research. It was basically follow the leader, of which I was some of the time 5 Echo, Jay Walker early, and then just a coalesced group. And any time I tried to break away, it was a struggle, and I had to increase the risk factor more and more to try and break away. It was 3 or 4 different sessions, and then finally we finished, but I had lost my water due to kind of a low save at the midpoint of the flight. So it was a disaster. I knew I needed to move a little bit today to catch Sean and X-Ray Charlie, who was ahead overall in the standings at this point. I'd probably throw that up here. Let's see. So if you look here, forget that. Just take my word for it. X-Ray Charlie was ahead by about 100 points at this point, and maybe it was 50 or 70, somewhere in there. And NFAI scoring, that's a significant lead, and I needed to make sure I got ahead of him, and I just never really had control of the day and the ability to do that. I'm going to fast forward through the whole flight today so that you can see how long this gaggle lasted. Real quick, CD report. Fernando Silva gave a very strong assessment of the weather. Strong lift in all quadrants. This was mostly true, but it got incredibly weak on the 4th leg and back in towards Charlotte, and then sort of stayed okay as it got towards the end of the day. But there, as the CD says here, there was a 1-hour game of roulette. People trickled out. Papa 7, Romeo Fox left early, and some others. Quebec Tango. The gaggle did grind him down eventually, and the gaggle was definitely faster. There's no question about it. This was a blue day, important day to be with the gaggle. But the gaggle was horrifically slow, and we just weren't able to organize into a group. I tried to go with 5 Echo, Eric Nelson, and Juliet Whiskey, Jay Walker, as you'll see, but about 10 guys followed right behind me and were just on us the whole time. And I think only 2 or 3 people led, to give you an idea. Pretty much the gaggle was sitting back the whole time. So this was one of those days. It wasn't very fun. From the perspective of trying to move today, we needed, everybody's trying to score points, and if you look here at the scores, 1,000 for the leader. Let's go down to 10th place, 922. But if you go down to 6th or 7th place, so here's 1st, here's 7th there's 2nd. 7th was 973, so there's only 27 points from 1 to 7, and that's a pretty flatly stacked top 7, and that will really define the day. I think a couple people had a chance to move today. They certainly gave it their all. Congratulations to the day winner, Bob Fletcher. Flew a very good last bit of the task. He carried his water throughout the whole day, and that really helped him on final glide. As I said, I was dry, and I got murdered on the final glide, even though I was in an okay position and kind of leaving with 9-0. His final glide earned him, 25 points or so. Okay, so that's the contest report from our CD, Rick Shep. Thank you, Rick. And there's the scores. We'll leave that up for reference, but I'm just going to put it up on 100 until we get going here, and you'll sort of see the gaggle from hell. So right now it's about 12:25. They're going to open the gate, as you can see right here, at about 1 o'clock, which is 20 minutes from now. Everybody's still launching, and then everybody's going to sit here for an hour. So here we go, coming up on 12:50, and right there is 1 o'clock. And now you can just watch this Stargate roulette grind. So that's 15 after, 20 after. You can see all the heights here. Everybody's just pinned right at 2,000 meters. There's 30 after. All right, we can stop there. We get a couple starters, Papa 7 and Quebec Tango. The first starter looks like Romeo Fox there. So it's 39, so let's assume they started at about 30. And I'm going to slow it down a little bit just so you guys can look here. I mean, this wasn't brutal, and obviously these gliders are about 50 times bigger than they should be, representing scale. Hi, Vaughn. Vaughn's going to be here with us today, but I'm going to slow it down even more. Hey, Vaughn. Calm down, okay? So, anybody let out, the gaggle followed, and this is dialing in early to be one of those days. So, what was going through my mind at this point, excuse me, is how to sneak away. So this is at 1:45 now. Gate's been open for an hour. This is again a racing task with 6 or 7 turn points here. You can see we go. Wow, this was a busy task. We go up to Anson County, over to Bear Creek, over to Jordan, over to Rockingham, over to McDonald, down to Darlington, and back to the finish. Day's supposed to be strong, but notice this river valley on the 3rd and 4th leg, and there was some rain up here, so I knew it was going to be weak in here, but it was really weak. And obviously we're looking for the leaders here are either A, just wanting to go with the gaggle and pull away, start late and catch up, but I'm of the mindset of I want to try and lead ahead. It's a blue day, but I'm thinking maybe I can get away, but there just never really was an opportunity. So there's 45, and it's just painful. It's a totally blue day. Everybody can see you, and everybody can see you at Flarm. There Kayla Mark finally goes. X-Ray Charlie and 5 Echo are climbing over here, so the whole gaggle moves, including myself, although here I'm trying to find a way to sneak away, and you can tell they just follow the top guy, and I guess I'm guilty of this as well. And what's going through my mind at this point is it's going to be really hard to break away, and everybody's going to follow, but it's already getting to 2 o'clock, and if it's weaker than forecast, we have a what's the mileage on this? Maybe it's in the report. 400 kilometer zigzag task on a blue day. So, depending on the speed, that's at least 4 hours. So that's flying until 6 o'clock now that we're close to 2. And it definitely tails off late in the day, and it definitely does that in the blue. So it is stressful here, to say the least. And everybody's stuck late, but still nobody wants to go first. So you can see Papa 7 has almost made it all the way to the first turn. Romeo Fox really deviated hard here. Maybe he's low. No, he's fine. It's 1788. 2,000 to 1,000 is the working band here in meters, so 6,000 to 3,000 feet, a little better than that. But this sucked. I mean, I've 15, 16 gliders all within a quarter, half mile of each other, swirling around, and nobody wants to go first. There goes. Okay, so now we're playing ball. 5 Echo and Juliet Whiskey take off, and at this point I think there's nothing left to wait for, and I'm hoping that these guys are following somebody else or thinking about somebody else. But the bad news is it looks like they're following me. And as you can see here, they don't wait long. So, 9-0 and X-Ray Charlie wait just a little bit longer and gain, what is it now? It's been 3 or 4 minutes. X-Ray Charlie actually starts last, 9-0 second to last. And so you can see all that for this. The strategy was Romeo Fox and Papa 7 are off the front. Fernando Silva and Quebec Tango are just behind. Kilo and Mike out alone. And you can see there he's been gone for almost 20 minutes. So call that a 20-minute gap. This is a probably 40-minute gap. There's 2 leaders and then the gaggle. And you can see, I mean, look at that. No deviation. It's totally blue. There's lots of ground signals, and everybody is literally just locking into the leader. Now, I'm keeping an eye on Jay and Eric here for sure, but unfortunately I'm bringing this group with me, and there's really nothing I can do about it. And for all intents and purposes, on the gaggle, 9-0 will win if he ties, and X-Ray Charlie will win, including 9-0 if we tie. So he's in a really good position, considering we have 4 hours to go here on a blue day, which actually turns out to be weaker than expected. So I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. You can see the picture on the 2D. I'll zoom in about like that, and we can let it play. I'll zoom in here a little bit on the 2D. So you can get a feel for the flying. So there were some good bumps here, and I remember I had a really strong LD here to start. So 81, and you can see that's pretty much higher than anybody else has here. Not a lot of turning, and certainly no turning in our group. So I left at the right time, and I have found a seam here, and I'm gaining a little bit. So Zoo started right behind me, and Zoo is at 1724, and I'm at 1803. So I've gained on everybody who started just behind, and the reason is when you follow, it's very, very, you're not feeling the air for yourself. You're seeing the person ahead and then trying to anticipate and react to what they're showing you. And that can often be inefficient. And this was pretty promising here because I did catch Jay and Eric pretty quickly, but unfortunately I needed a really strong climb rate in one of these first thermals to get away from the gaggle, and I think the second or third one was too weak, and 1 or 2 turns cost you everything that I've gained or everything that I've hoped to gain. So Jay and Eric pull into their first turn, and 1.6 meters for Eric, and Jay 1.3, so not a great climb for today. And I'm vectoring in on it, and so is the gaggle. So this had to be incredibly frustrating for Jay and Eric, but it was just, there was no future in starting first ahead of that gaggle, and we all suffered for it. You had to find a way to break away in the rest of the task, and so I get 1.7 out of it, but again, Jay and Eric had to center it, and I was able to center it a little bit more quickly because those guys did the work for me. So nobody's my main group here right in behind me. 9-0 is moving up through the pack and pulling away from X-Ray Charlie quite a bit there. So I think 9-0 was heavy ASG 29 today, and Bob was flying very well. And Bob always flies very well. So that is what it is. He did a good job of moving through the pack today and led from the front. If I remember correctly on this one, I think Eric and Jay might have been pushing pretty hard here. I've got a 62 LD and 5 Echo 47 and Jay 50. So I don't know if we're going a little slower or if we're just gaining here. But they're going to need a huge climb to pull away from this pack, and as you can see, it's a pretty big pack. Well, it looks like 9-0 stopped there in this climb. I missed that. I'm not sure exactly how strong it was. So still 62 LD. Jay and Eric stop. And let's see what they got. So this one's better, 2 meters a second for Eric and 1.9 for Jay. And I'm going to pull into it, and I'm going to guess I get a little bit higher climb rate because I haven't stopped yet. Oh, so they moved and recentered. So 2.1, just a little bit higher climb rate because I don't have to waste that time centering. So 0.1 is almost insignificant, but it sort of tells a story. So now I'm sitting on top and wondering what to do. I certainly don't want to leave first and go through a sink street and have no references, so I stay there a little longer. And maybe my climb was a little stronger than 2.1, but I sit on the top a little bit because I'm worried about losing a lot without any references. So there, Mike Sierra, 5 Echo, Jay Walker out in front. 98 and 198 come in behind. 90 same altitude and behind. X-Ray Charlie's caught up a little bit, and we're almost to the next turn. So let's take a snapshot here. So here's Papa 7, Romeo Fox, Fox Sierra, Quebec Tango, and Kilo Mike. Looks like Fox Sierra left Quebec Tango behind. Kilo Mike is moving forward. Fox Sierra looks like he's catching Romeo Fox, and there's Papa 7, who's up high now and doing great. Look at that gaggle. Okay. All right. So we're moving into Anston County. It's a 1K radius, so 2K diameter, but I believe no extra distance for the turn, although US rule guys might have changed it to their favor in that realm. Doesn't look like anybody took advantage of that. All right, Jay and Eric for 1.5 meters, same for me. Jay 1.4, looks like he turned in there first. And this, let me slow this down a little bit. This was getting pretty busy. And it was, so now at this point, I'm starting to get slowed down by the traffic. I'm not able to maneuver the way I want in the thermal. And when that happens, I start to get really irritated. And it's nobody's fault, I suppose. It's just, as you can see, nobody's trying any different routes. And the only thing you could do is try and leave out front and find a better climb ahead and be really selective over your turns. But nobody's fingering out, and the leader is just being followed. And I guess that's partially a sign of respect, but we probably would be faster to gaggle as a gaggle if everyone filtered around and spread out a little bit. We're only finding one thermal at a time here if we fly like this, and unfortunately, the gaggle's so tight, nobody wants to lose 4 or 5 positions in sort of pecking order at the top of the gaggle by going off to the side and missing a climb and then having to recenter. This is a blue day is a very challenging day. Interesting here. Looks like we're catching up to Kilo Mike. So Kilo Mike is climbing at where are you, Kilo Mike? Huh. There we go. Kilo Mike. 2.2 meters a second. He's taken that all the way up. He's at 2172, so he's super high, 99th percentile. And there he leaves just as we arrive. And we get 2.3, so the thermal is still strong. I get 2.7. That looks like the strongest average, except for, of course, 9.0, our day winner. And this will spread the group out top to bottom a little bit, at least. A strong climb. So 3 meters a second, that's 6 knots. And now suddenly we've got 7 Tango, Mike Sierra, 5 Echo, and 9-8, and Jay Walker. And there's a little bit of spread. It starts to accordion out a little bit. But unfortunately, as we get into weaker conditions ahead, everything sort of slows down. There's Kilo Mike, about 10K ahead still. Mike Sierra, not very good LD. I've got a 48. And there we go, turning down leg 3. And here's where things start to crack a little bit. There's Kilo Mike. Kilo Mike is in a 1.3 meters per second climb. Only about a 6, 7, not even 400 meters above. He recenters into 1.2. And I don't stick around long in that. We've just had 2.8s. Why bother with that? And you got Kilo Mike out ahead, and I've got to get away from this gaggle. I've got to try. I think I know X-Ray Charlie is in here, and he's a little low, so just a little bit vulnerable. And even that I'd leave. So Kilo Mike, I'm really trying to break ahead. And look at this. Oh, just like a laser beam. Like having a Harley gang behind you. So I'm pushing down to 600 meters. That's 500 meters above the ground, about 1,500 feet. And stopping 1.5. So that was better than the last 1.2. And I take that up for 700 meters. And people center over here on this climb, but then they all eventually come over to mine. So congratulations for your trouble, Mr. Fiddler. And now I'm about in the middle of the gaggle, towards the bottom actually. So the guys sitting behind and just going from climb to climb are a little bit more efficient. And that sucks. But there's a lot of racing left. So I'll recenter over here so we can see what's going on. Papa 7's all the way around. Fox Sierra, Romeo Fox, QT. The gaggle's almost catching QT. You can see the gaggle is slowly charging here a little bit. So Jay got behind here a little bit. You can see he's a little behind and a little below. Kilo Mike got past. So let's see, Kilo Mike is at 1,377, and the gaggle ahead is up almost to 1,500 meters. Mike Sierra's on top at 1,600 meters. So the gaggle has gained a half hour on Kilo Mike and flying away. He should be able to stay with the gaggle though from behind, but just flying alone on a blue day is very, very difficult. Yankee Oscar in the lead now, And you can see there I've fallen back a bit. So Mike Sierra is at 1,500, I'm at 1,400, so 100 meters, what, a mile behind, kilometer behind. Basically, the gaggle is still together. So now I know I'm in a little bit of trouble. Where's X-Ray Charlie at this point? Probably ahead of me. Yeah, X-Ray Charlie's ahead of me, and I know he started behind me. I'm not sure how much he started behind me, but I know I'm in trouble. I know for the overall contest, there's we're running out of time. This is the second to last contest day. You can see Jay coming in underneath, and Yankee Oscar showing us that this the climb is stronger out ahead. Oh man, that's funny. So I caught back up to the gaggle here, and just Yankee Oscar out ahead, and everybody follows us again. A little bit of spread there by Mike Sierra, which is the right thing to do. You can see this from behind. And we're starting to come in on, what is this, the first, second, third, fourth turn point. And that gaggle is still just a fur ball. Glide ratio here, 33-1, not very good. So we're starting to get into a very weak area, and it probably rained here. This is 1.2 meters a second, only 200 meters. So you could see that things are starting to get weak, and Kilo Mike just blew by us here. Maybe I'm going to have to eat my words. Kilo Mike is at 1,350 meters. So he's caught back up and is actually ahead of the gaggle now. So his quest to fly alone is sort of interesting to monitor. But he has lost a half hour to this moment. So heads of state are here, 5 Echo, 7 Tango. Zulu Oscar has been in the lead a lot. Mike Sierra has fallen back, X-Ray Charlie, and 9-0. And we're hitting this final turn. And what I could tell you here is we're down to 1,295 meters. It's slightly upwind back into this next leg, but it is weak. We haven't seen anything over, what, a meter a second average climb with a big gaggle, looking for climbs and feeling out the air. And what we don't know is that it is super weak here now for the next leg. I don't know what it is, this river valley or rain in this river valley. Maybe they had some flooding, but no one really expects this. If you can remember from the report, strong in all quadrants, lift to 7,000 feet, whatever Fernando chose, and it was. But this area here was suppressed hard. And maybe it's just the river valley, because if you remember, we started to get weak right about in here, and here's the river valley. But I'm sitting here, I can tell you what I was thinking. X-Ray Charlie is above me, and the gaggle is just sticking together like glue. So I've got to take some risks to get away. I need something here. And fortunately, it gets weak enough that everybody starts to get overly cautious, and I try and make a break for it. It works for a while, but in the end, unfortunately, they catch back up. And we're climbing at 1.5 meters a second. And off we go, 5 Echo. That's 1.1 meters a second, which is less, and I'm thinking there has to be something better. We're at 1,500 meters. So I take off, and the gaggle splits a little bit. So that's behind me is 9 or 8. It's 3 or 4 of his files. And I just put the bow down and rumble. And you can see the glide ratio is only 26. So I'm pushing hard here, which is sort of dumb because I'm dry. But you can see the gaggle falls in and just trails in behind the leader. Kilo Mike off on his own again. Just for reference, Kilo Mike is at 1,100 and I'm at about 400 meters below him. So the gaggle finally loses, loses its nerve, and I find 1.3 meters and take it for 200 meters here. Kilo Mike is 1.5 meters, taking it up for 600 meters here. But at least I've broken away from the gaggle, and I have some space here. There's Quebec Tango, kind of catching up, although he's much higher. And I'm pushing hard here, 800 meters. Mike Sierra's up at 1,400 meters behind, so it's not a very good look for me. And I stop here for nothing, keep going. So I'm at some risk here now. Down to 650. I'm running up a road and over a town, doing everything I can to find a ground source. And it's starting to look a little bit bleak. 500, 20. I'm slowing down now. I think the water's going. And searching hard, and there's 0.9. But the gaggle has lost its nerve because it's lost its leaders. And they're just taking weak climbs, and I mean, at least they're falling back. Quebec Tango goes over the top. Just give you a reference, he's way up above. He's up at 1,600 meters, and Kilo Mike is at 1,200. I'm at 800. But I've broken away from the gaggle here, and now I just need to climb to make it stick. So there's 2.3 for 929. So there's my good climb, finally. So that's a good gain. Kilo Mike is going to be 1,600. I'm at 1,300, and I'm ahead. And I'm at 1,500. Kilo Mike is at 1,700, so 200 meters or so. Mike Sierra breaks off from the peloton and comes up to the leaders here. And here comes the gaggle, well behind and below. I probably saw that and said, sayonara. I do not want to let the gaggle catch me. And I push hard. Unfortunately, I push hard up a sink street. And Kilo Mike and I are equal right now. So 1,400 to 1,469 to 1,465. And I remember this distinctly. Kilo Mike crushes us. He's going up a better line of lift, and this even altitude becomes me 500 meters below pretty quickly. You can see I'm only 25 to 1, Kilo Mike 54 to 1. And right now Kilo Mike is at 1,400, so he's not lost almost no altitude, and I'm quickly descending through 12, 1,100, and then Kilo Mike pulls into 1.3 meters per second. I turn around and go backwards because I see Mike Sierra and Kilo Mike. So let me go back to that. Go back to the last thermal. Okay, so this is my 2.3 meter per second big climb for 929, and you can see the gaggle behind. Sorry to review this, but I actually turn around and go back a K, which I really regretted. I wish there was a play bar that I could use. Anyway, that was a pretty good job getting away from these guys. But the job is not done yet, unfortunately. You've got to consolidate the lead and get completely out of flarm range to get away from these guys. Got to get way higher ahead and over the flarm range. And here, if we zoom in, you can sort of see Kilo Mike gliding better. Oh yeah. And then I see that. I know he's faster over there, and I'm visualizing a lift street here, and that's why I'm willing to give away a little bit of distance. Because I sort of feel like he's running right up a line of lift. We're right on the wind line, as you can see here. And now I'm in trouble again, down at 1100, and Kilo Mike is at 1500, so 1500 feet plus. But I find a good climb again, 1.8. Kilo Mike comes back and sees that and takes 1.4, but that consolidates us a little bit on the gaggle behind, although they're getting high behind as well. Yankee Oscar's in 1.7 and getting up to 1800 meters. I'm ahead, but only going through 1600 meters. And Kilo Mike, wow, 2000 plus. And we're drifting back in this climb as it flattens out on the top of the boundary layer. So Kilo Mike broke the gaggle, but I was not able to break away. Unfortunately, he's way behind on the track right now. So Kilo Mike rounds McDonald. Mike Sierra on 7 Tango. And we hit that at 1400 meters. And Yankee Oscar is a little higher at 1600 meters, 9-0. A little higher at 1600 meters, but then we pull into 1.6. And unfortunately, that, with these guys being higher behind, pulls the gaggle back together pretty much all at the same altitude. 9-0 is a little below, Jaywalker's a little below. Where's Eric? Eric's a little below too. So 1.6 meters. Kilo Mike's pushing out ahead, but we catch him and pass him again right away. Here's Papa 7 almost getting down to the last turn point at Darlington. Romeo Fox and Quebec Tango, and they've caught back up to Fernando Silva. So one problem I'm having at this point is I'm dry. I think I'm completely dry. When I got down to 500 meters, maybe there's a center tank or something left. But I'm gliding noticeably weaker than Zoo, who's got a motor, sustainer, and Mike Sierra. I'm not sure what Sergey has for water at this point, but I know I'm a little wounded in the glide. And if it gets strong, I'm going to be wounded, and I know this last 60, 70K back into the finish is directly into 26 kilometers of wind, which is 12, 13, 14 knots, 15 knots. Actually, no, it's like 15, 16 knots. So I know it's going to be hard, but one thing I don't see is X-Ray Charlie, and you can see we've gotten away from X-Ray Charlie a bit. So X-Ray Charlie's back at 1,300 meters, and we're ahead at 1,400 meters. So at least there's that. And at the end of this task, what did I gain? 974. I got back 34 points, which was significant, and got back within, 45 points for the final day. So at this point I was 75 or 80 points behind. So at least I accomplished this objective. And fortunately, Bob Fletcher is still 100 points behind or so, which is sizable, but close enough that I'm definitely worried. And Robin Clark only 2 points behind him. So there we caught back up to Kilo Mike. There we go, over the top. It's amazing how quickly the gaggle can be faster than someone who's alone, and that's just getting demonstrated again and again. Even though Ken is a great pilot and is doing really good things there, you cannot fly through the blue and use the force to see lift. It's very effective to be with a fast small gaggle. So there go 5 Echo and Kilo Mike out ahead and quite low, where we're getting up to 2,000 meters, getting high on this downwind leg. We want to hit this turn point as high as possible, as efficiently as possible. So here I got on top finally again, and of course I'm dry, which means I'm climbing better. So I'm at 1900. Mike Sierra's at 1855. Zoo is at where's Rich at? 1823. So yeah, I get 75 meters high in the climb, and I climb fast, but it all comes back in a hurry on the run. And 90 is at 1823. So that's only 75 meters in altitude there, just for scale. Papa 7, almost back to the finish. Fox Sierra, Romeo, Fox, and QT going through Darlington. Here we are. And X-Ray Charlie, J and X-Ray Charlie are much lower. X-Ray Charlie is at 972, and I'm at 2,000. So ahead and over 1,000 meters above. That's consolidation there finally. So we get back a few points. Five Echo and Kilo Mike mark the climb. The gaggle comes in and enjoys. I'm climbing at 1, 90, 1.1, a little stronger below. And there 90 goes into beast mode. And what you can see here, we're pushing in pretty close to the turn, almost catching up to Quebec Tango. Oh, I bet you he's real high. Yep. And you can see how much lower X-Ray Charlie, Jaywalker, and that group are back there. Let's take a look. 1X. 1X is at 920. Jaywalker 1298. X-Ray Charlie 909. So X-Ray Charlie's pushing hard low, and Yo is falling back quite a bit. Yankee Oscar. Yeah, it's way back there, but he's higher. So all that work, and one gaggle is basically split into two, and it's about 1,000 meters and 5-6K of gain. And we only get 40-50 points or 70-80 points for that. Seems like we should be rewarded more for that, for this racing, for taking those risks and pushing out ahead. Oh, I got going there. And everybody swirls around here. So this is a great point. I mean, there's no need to take the climb back upwind. If you remember, in, let's call it 25K of wind, showing 14 right now. So it's probably 10-20% less climb rate. If you take that on the upwind and drift back directly downwind in the thermal, as opposed to taking it here, where we're mostly drifting downwind, even though we're kind of off to the side here. It's still better to take the climb here. I've got a 1 meter a second climb, so that on the upwind leg would be worth like 0.6 meters per second because of the sliding back in the wind versus sliding forward in the wind. So I think I'm light. I'm pushing up towards the top of the gaggle again. But 1 meter a second is not that great. I'm up to 1.5 now, so I guess we recentered. I think Papa 7 finished already. And here we go into the turn, and then off home. And I remember, 5 Echo is right here with me. Mike Sierra is right here with me. 9.8 in a AS33 right here, and 9.0. And I just get crushed. I hang on for a little while. But in the pull-ups from high speed, they're just getting more energy out of it. And you'll watch them roll over the top. Kilo Mike does the same thing in a Venice 3. Very good glider in these conditions, and I'm sure he's carrying his water. But I lose a few points here. If I had enough energy, 9-0 gets 1,000 points for the day. He started a little bit behind, but I was a little bit ahead going into this final glide. Maybe I could have gotten 995 or something. But look at Mike Sierra go. 5 Echoes pulling ahead, a little higher, a little farther ahead, and Zulu Oscar's gaining a little bit. 9-0 is just biding his time high and behind, and Kilo Mike doing the same. Okay, so here we jump into a climb, 1.3 meters a second, but again, we're drifting back, so that's probably only worth 0.8 as opposed to taking the same climb downwind. And here we are right here. 5 Echo continues. I remember this. This was a pretty thin final glide. 9-0 continues as well. And I'm thinking I'm not going to make it. Well, there's 25 points for you right there. 9-8 took the climb. Kilo Mike took the climb. We're up to 1,500 meters. And off we go. And you can see X-Ray Charlie. Jay looks like he got back up back there. So he's minimized his loss. And I have the fun of gliding scared here as 9-8 and Kilo Mike roll past me. Look at Kilo Mike go. This is the effect of water on a final glide. Look at that. He's got it. He's convinced. He's put the nose down. No, I just don't have any energy. And here comes Kilo Mike coming by and giving me the salute. And the pass. And Zulu Oscar almost got to me as well. And there we go, and it's 21:48. So I guess we finished in 4 hours. Yeah, just about a little over 4 hours there. Yep. So I was 4:09. So that is day 4. Great task by Bob Fletcher. Great second place by Sergey. And a great third place from Gary Ittner, who did it all the way alone up front. I think he probably flew through the better part of the day. As you can see, it was maybe just a little weak there at the end. And Gary by starting 1 hour ahead of us. So you can see here his start time 13:30, or half hour in front of us, excuse me. I'm sorry, I had this all expanded. So everybody waited around for a half hour. Gary started at 13:30, and I started at 13:59, and then let's see, 9-0, who was a very late starter, 14:01, so just 2 minutes behind. But Gary still, with a half hour, I think he flew through the better part of the day, got him a second place, and for those who care, or sorry, a third place, for those who care, that's pretty impressive, considering he flew all the way alone at 96. Bob flew together with the pack, had a lot of markers, and flew 96.94. Moving down the list, 5th was Pete Alexander, had a good final glide there, as you saw, and he started fairly late. Good flying. Did I miss a 4th? 4th, Jake Aspla, Whiskey 7. That's phenomenal. We didn't really watch him during the task, but he just flew quietly and conservatively, and I bet you he had a really good final glide there. 5th, Pete. We talked about Pete. 6th, you saw my flight in detail. 7th, Rich Owen. You saw Rich stayed out of trouble and flew really smart and also had a really good final glide. 8th, where's 8th? 8th, Eric Nelson. We saw Eric. Stayed out of trouble. Started early. He unfortunately lost a little bit of that. Wasn't able to get away, but recovered well and got a bunch of points. Had a really good final glide. So that's 8th. 9th, Sean Murphy. Good recovery there. I think it could have been worse down there at 900 meters on that second to last leg, 91.1. 10th. And Ken, 10th. Ken started at 13:47. So 13 minutes beforehand. So he basically lost 13 minutes, and he lost that in the first 3 legs, and then flew basically even with us for the rest of that. So that's a lot of time to lose, and most of that was just being alone. You get low, or you're looking for the core of a climb, and you just have no reference to find it, unfortunately. 11th Jim, France, 2 Hotel. 12th Jay Walker, that was a tough one, 9:22, so that's a significant point loss there. Tied for 12th, Fernando Silva, who basically went out alone early. 12th, another 12th, Dave Nadler. We saw Dave quite a bit in the group. And another 12th, Biff Huss. So 4 guys exactly tied at 9:22. So that would take us up to 15th, 16th. That's Nelson Howe. 17th, Robin Clark. So Robin went early, and this was a big loss. He does recover to 3rd overall in the contest, but he definitely loses some points here and falls back 2 points behind Bob Fletcher, so that hurts a bit. And 18th, John Godfrey, who again started very early, and Alan Smith in 19th, Steve Vellin in 20th, and Michael Price in 21st. Pretty exciting. I know that task probably looked a little bit boring, a big pack flying around, but there was a lot of little subtle dynamics, and I was pretty excited about my trying to break away at the beginning, down the 3rd leg, and then again up the 4th leg. And then I was pretty much defenseless once I dropped my water, and I was just basically trying to hang on, and unfortunately lost a little bit on the final glide. But that was super exciting to me to watch, and I hope you learned a little bit from it, and thank you for watching. I'll do the video for day 5 here very soon. Thanks again.